Hello and welcome to This Week in Barbados. I'm Aliyah Briggs, and this week we come to you from the Gun Hill Signal Station in the lush parish of St. George. Fun fact, the parish of St. George is one of the only two landlocked parishes in Barbados, meaning it is not touched by the sea, the only other being the parish of St. Thomas to the north. Situated in St. George, the Gun Hill Signal Station provides magnificent and captivating views of the entire island. Dating back to 1818, these stations sighted ships approaching Barbados and signaled to each other, identifying the type of vessel and whether it was friend or foe. In case of an attack, this enabled the forts and soldiers to better defend the island. At the foot of the signal station is a magnificent lion statue, which was carved out of a single piece of rock in 1868 by an officer at the signal station. Today, the station is maintained by the Barbados National Trust and houses a collection of military memorabilia. This week we have positive news on Barbados' economic recovery from the pandemic, Barbados building ties with India, and of course we have some exciting sporting news. We begin with news on the world stage. Prime Minister Mia Motley continued her advocacy for equality among developed and developing nations during her contribution to the debate on the global economy at the International Monetary Fund's 2022 spring meetings. The world's leading financial institutions, the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, hosted annual joint meetings to discuss the global economy. Participants in the debate included leading global personalities in banking and finance, including President of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, Chair of the U.S. Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, and Prime Minister Mia Motley. The 2022 spring meetings, as they were called this year, provided a platform for policymakers to deliberate and identify policy solutions to short and long-term challenges. Ms. Georgieva revealed that an international resilience and sustainability trust has been established to assist developing nations with their recovery efforts from negative economic, environmental, and social shocks.
Mia, I have a piece of really good news for you. You have been championing the allocation of concessional finance not only on income per capita, but also on vulnerability to climate shocks. And today, at the discussions we had, the Resilience and Sustainability Trust, which will provide long-term maturity, finally financing to vulnerable middle countries, got a big boost. We signed up already $40 billion for it.
Prime Minister Mia Motley, while making her contribution to the debate, championed the issue of reform at the International Monetary Fund. She called for a reformation of their operations in such a manner that would allow the institution to address the injustices faced by small island developing states.
The reality is that with a high debt framework, as most of our developing countries have, as small island developing states, not because of profligacy, not because of corruption, but largely because of having to take on our balance sheets the consequences of the actions of others, we feel that the time has now come for us to make some decisions to change it. And Kristalina, you're absolutely correct about the Resilience and Sustainability Trust, and we thank you for it. And in fact, it's a right step in the right direction. It's the only step thus far that acknowledges vulnerability, but we need the World Bank and the development banks to go further with us.
While acknowledging the current global economic conditions as a result of the pandemic, supply chain disruptions, and now the war in Eastern Europe, Prime Minister Motley told the audience about Barbados' plight in navigating these uncertain times.
Now we have to think outside of the box because it's becoming increasingly difficult even for us to shield our populations with the limited fiscal space that we have against the fact that the cost of debt is likely to increase because of the monetary conditions tightening, and because of the fact that we just simply are not seeing the rate of economic recovery as quickly as we need to. Now, we're confident that tourism recovery usually can come back and bounce back quicker than most. But what is happening with the increased fuel costs will affect the cost of flights.
Barbados' ambassador to CARICOM, or the Caribbean Community, David Comachong, believes Prime Minister Motley has made significant strides in the region's fight for reparations from countries which colonized the Caribbean. The ambassador was addressing a special dialogue between the National African American Reparations Commission and the Caribbean Community Reparations Commission. He disclosed that the Prime Minister, who is also chair of the CARICOM Prime Ministerial Subcommittee on Reparations, raised the issue during a recent visit of a congressional delegation to Barbados.
Prime Minister Motley is on the verge of sending out a second round of letters to 9 Western European countries, to the heads of government, saying to them that a debt is owed and that they need to sit with CARICOM and negotiate compensation, reparatory justice compensation for that debt that is owed. She's also pushing this notion that CARICOM must reach out to the African continent. We have invited Africa to partner with us on this reparations journey. She has said that we must make our reparations campaign into a mass movement.
Chairman of the CARICOM Reparations Committee and Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, believes support for reparatory justice remains strong in the region. He further stated that support must be extended to the African continent.
Because this is a global movement. And now that our African governments are one by one coming on board to join with global Africa, so that global Africa can build this mighty organizational and intellectual force. This is where we are now. And I hope that soon we will meet in Africa to have another breaking of bread, Ron. And I know that you will always be at the center of these issues because you fully comprehend what needs to be done.
During the parliamentary debate on the vesting of land to the University of the West Indies, Prime Minister Motley revealed that government was in the process of formulating policy to ensure medical science students have access to internship opportunities on the island.
I feel that morally, if a person is going to go and study medicine, they ought to be assured of the ability to complete their training such that they can practice medicine rather than being left in a lurch with respect to where they will do their internships. Now, Mr. Speaker, therefore, it is a matter then for us regionally, not just domestically, to see how we can expand the number of internship places available based not purely on the provision of medical services to our domestic population, but including the provision of medical services to a global population, but in our countries in the region.
The Prime Minister also informed Barbadians of the government's continued efforts to implement a mental health and wellness policy for the benefit of all.
This country, Mr. Speaker, has had a reputation for medical tourism before it knew what medical tourism was. And you only need to look at why George Washington left the United States of America to come to Barbados. He came to Barbados for his brother to be able to recuperate from the respiratory problems that he was having. This is a country that constructed a psychiatric hospital in the 19th century. And that's why I'm so impatient, and I speak to the Minister of Health, and he knows how I feel, and the Minister in the Ministry of Health, for us to have a mental wellness program rolled out, especially coming out of the COVID pandemic, where we know that the restrictions and the lockdowns have played on people's heads.
This week, Governor of the Central Bank of Barbados, Clevingston Haynes, delivered his quarterly presentation on the performance of the economy, and Barbadians learned of some positive news on the country's economic recovery from the pandemic. The governor also warned of negative external economic shocks which pose a threat to the economy, including the war in Ukraine. Trevor Thorpe has the details.
The central bank governor says gross domestic product is up, but the country is not back to pre-COVID-19 levels.
The uncertainty that pervades the world economy, resulting from the ongoing health-related risks associated with the pandemic, supply chain disruptions, geopolitical events, and monetary policy tightening in advanced economies, serves as a poignant reminder of the vulnerability of and the challenges facing the domestic economy. The Russia-Ukraine war has been especially concerning, aggravating pre-existing inflationary pressures and threatening to slow the global economic recovery.
The governor says while the impact of world prices will be a concern, there has been a resurgence in tourism.
In spite of the strong performance, long-stay arrivals were the equivalent to just 55% of 2019's record level, as demand from the US, Canadian, and Caribbean markets recovered more slowly. The accommodation sector continues to observe improved occupancy levels, leading to an increase in average daily room rates, the combined effect of the higher arrivals and improved length of stay. The number of cruise ship visits nearly reached pre-COVID levels, but cruise activity only registered a moderate recovery as capacity restrictions remained in place.
Jobless claims were down during the period under review, and according to the top bank official, this has been reflected in higher employment in both the public and private sectors.
The labor market continues to stabilize during the first quarter. Jobless claims were in line with historic trends, a contrast to the corresponding period a year earlier, when the lockdown dampened economic activity and contributed to heightened unemployment, especially during the first half of the year. At the end of 2021, the unemployment rate had declined to 10.9%, reflecting higher employment in both the private and public sectors. Despite the gains, employment remains below pre-COVID levels, but the proportion of full-time employed individuals and earnings has been steadily increasing, indicative of the gradual economic recovery.
External borrowing has boosted international reserves over the past 2 years, and the central bank official says it continues to provide strong cover to meet the imports of goods and services.
After years of declining outputs in the sugar industry and continued debate about the role the Barbados government should play in this industry, Minister of Agriculture, Food and Nutritional Security Indar Ware, while speaking at the commissioning ceremony of a new sugar mill, outlined the government's vision for the industry and expressed confidence in the quality of byproducts from our sugar industry.
The goal is to successfully transition the sugar industry from traditionally producing bulk sugar for export markets, particularly Europe, into a profitable value chain industry supported by renewable energy. Gone are the days when Barbados produced sugar for export at a preferential price to the European markets. Although the decline started earlier, it was the tentacles of free trade in the post-WTO era that had a lasting grip on lifeline of Caribbean sugar exporting countries. This grip squeezed the remaining life of the once profitable price support mechanism and led to a drastic erosion of the commodities price to devastating levels.
When we return from the break, we have some news on how Barbadians are keeping a dying tradition alive. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the third and final academic term commenced this week, and thousands of students returned to the classroom once again. Rianne Phillips tells us primary school students are focused on the upcoming Barbados Secondary Schools entrance examination, which determines their allocation to secondary schools in Barbados. The students shared their preparation routines ahead of the exam.
I think that going back to school is good for me because at home is a lot of distractions and it's better to communicate with my teachers and it's easier.
That sentiment was shared by the majority of students who returned to face-to-face classes amid overcast conditions and showers. This Trinity term is marked by numerous examinations and many are gearing up for the various tests. The main one for Class 4 students is the 11+. And these pupils at St. Albans Primary are putting in the work.
With the combinations just around the corner, I am revising what we have done in the past 2 terms and really getting down to work and not playing the fool. I'm taking lessons on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Even though it's a really struggle, knowing I have to also do some homework, I also have to be ready for the combinations.
I'm feeling excited to go to secondary school. I've been practicing some papers over the vacation and doing my reading.
I've been getting ready by reviewing all of my exercises, doing practice exams with my teacher, and also reviewing my notes with my mommy.
Students at St. James Primary are also going above and beyond to get ready for the test.
We had some Easter school on the first week, Monday to Thursday, and after that I had been having lessons with my friends. And we have been going through Banco papers, going through the mainly issue problems. And we would, if we didn't get it, we would just keep on attacking that one spot until we get it and move on to a different one.
Lessons every day and just trying to keep my mind off electronics all the time. So I just remember what I do at lessons and not the stuff I watch.
Thousands are expected to write the Common Entrance Examination, which is scheduled for July 5th, 2022.
This week, we highlight a positive community initiative which continues to shape the lives of residents of the urban community of New Orleans in the capital city of Bridgetown. Over the Easter holiday weekend, the New Orleans Community Post Kite Festival, coordinated by the Barbados Police Service, was praised by Member of Parliament for the city of Bridgetown, Layne. Kite flying in Barbados is a cherished pastime, especially around Easter. During the Easter season, it is customary to see families assembled on playing fields across the island and engaging in kite making and flying. The waning tradition is the subject of revitalization efforts by the New Orleans Police Post. Station Sergeant Mohan believes this initiative fosters a closer relationship with the community.
Because of the pandemic, this is 2 years we were on hold with the kite flying competition. But this year we saw the numbers were going down. We decided we wanted to put something in the area again, another program in the area to get persons, residents out. Also to bridge that gap with the police officers and the children and the residents kept asking us if we have one this year. So we decided to put on one on a smaller scale and it came off much better than expected. Next year we'll be looking for a bigger program. And we also use this time also to educate the persons within the area that although kite flying is a pastime, it's something that we enjoy, we still cannot infringe on the rights of other people.
Parliamentary Representative Layne told the media that the kite flying competition provides technical education and teaches critical life skills. He is also confident that the program will keep the tradition alive.
Because a lot of the times when you think about these communities and these areas, a lot of times you think negativity, you think violence and so on, but my community has a lot of creativity, a lot of energy, a lot of camaraderie, and this is the part I want Barbados to see. It's a family event, lots of people coming out, it gives you that opportunity, and as Station Sergeant Mohan said, we'll be able to teach them not only the skill and keep this art form going, but we can teach them about the responsibilities of it in terms of the noise, and the nuisance it may cause to residents. So I'm very happy about that. In terms of other programs, I would like to see the return of, know that we're being able to manage and live with COVID a lot better. the return of the cooking programs, the sports programs, the football programs. The constituents, the residents are ready, and we are ready to put it on in a safe environment where, regardless of COVID, that we can continue to build the skills and camaraderie of the community.
Scenes of the landscape and people of Barbados could soon be featured in Hindi cinematic productions. Popularly known as Bollywood, the industry is estimated to be valued at $2.39 billion and employs approximately 248,000 people. A veteran producer arrived at the Grantley Adams International Airport to explore the potential creative and economic opportunities here. Mr. Sabarwal revealed that Barbadians will benefit from any future productions on the island.
When we do Bollywood, we need faces of Bollywood, and Barbados is having an Indian population of 3,000 people, which is great. We can choose from them also, but apart from that, definitely we'll be putting a lot of labor work which is needed for camera, lights, equipment carrying, transportation, food, because these all things will be provided by locally only. Only from Bombay, the crew of 30-40 people will come. Otherwise, when we shoot, we have 200 people on the set. So, local people will be getting a lot of opportunity.
Member of Cabinet Kirk Humphrey, while acting as Minister of Tourism and International Transport, has high hopes for any future investments in the local film industry.
I'm also excited because I believe this would also elevate our own local film industry. There's also the potential, I think, for just being on camera for a greater number of persons in the world to see what Barbados has to offer, the beauty of the country and the exponential increase in tourism, and certainly the potential for investment from across the world.
The government of Barbados is providing more affordable housing solutions through the Home Ownership Providing Energy, or HOPE initiative. These hurricane-resilient homes offered to low-income earners in Barbados will generate clean energy through the mandatory photovoltaic systems installed on the roofs. The latest effort is consistent with government's policy to provide housing to Barbadians as well as income-earning opportunities for homeowners with the use of renewable energy. Interested Barbadians recently got the opportunity to view their potential new homes. Shane Jones was at the Vespera Gardens site in Lancaster, St. James, and tells us more.
30 applicants who already qualified for loans were among those who turned up to see the first 2 show houses at Vespera Gardens. The neatly built homes in the Hope Inc. stage of the project will see the construction of 152 houses in 2 phases. Phase 1 will comprise 90 houses, 49 2-bedroom and 41 3-bedroom homes, while Phase 2 will comprise 62 houses, 29 2-bedroom and 33 3-bedroom homes. Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley was also there. She spoke with potential homeowners and also viewed the houses, which are completed with tiles, photovoltaic panels, built-in closets and kitchen cupboards. The Prime Minister said the proof of government's housing policy to satisfy the demand for homes is indisputable.
It became evident that we needed to reduce the cost of land, reduce the cost of construction, reduce the cost of transactions, reduce the cost of accessing the mortgage, and make it more affordable. And how have we done it? We've tried to be able to cap the land price to you with respect to how much you are paying for the land. In my constituency, people were paying $25 a square foot for land and having to dig down deep, deep, deep to find foundation. And I felt it was wrong, because when you match that against the ability of a nurse to pay, a policeman to pay, a teacher to pay, you're then asking people to literally have to find a second job to be able to live, and the quality of life is therefore compromised.
Ms. Motley has described the project as the beginning of the silent revolution of housing in Barbados. This phase of the initiative caters to those in the income bracket of teachers, nurses, and police officers. Head of the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union, Marianne Redman, and President of the Barbados Nurses Association, Valerie Francis Miller, are pleased with what they have seen.
The teachers generally have been very excited by what they've heard in relation to the terms of repayment of the mortgages, the amount, and this gives them an opportunity, many of them, to own a home that they would not have had before. The houses are well designed, many windows, very cool.
For nurses to have an opportunity to own a part of the rock and also own a home after working so hard, and then you come home from work, you have a place that you can relax and call your own, not worrying about how it's going to be paid for because the homes are affordable.
To date, there have been 2,971 applications, and show houses will be available for public viewing every Saturday.
We'll have some exciting sporting news when we return from the break. In sports, the opening race of the Hollywood Casino at Charleston, West Virginia, was won by Barbadian jockey Rashawn Latchman. He captured the winning purse of $32,700. Let's take a look at the race.
In the opener at Charlestown, Windsor's Tracker was a step slow to begin. Rocket J from the inside showing speed, and there goes O'Bannon on debut, racing out for the lead. And so the son of Fiberson is out in front. Under the wire for the first time, O'Bannon shows the way with Mockins Ridge away in second. Now Windsor's Tracker recovers after that stutter step beginning, moving up to the outside, racing out into the two-path or so as they head into the turn. Then Angela's Romeo, who's made it down 2 paths off the rail as well, running along in that 4th spot. It's another gap of 5 or so to Quiet Justice, racing just in front of Rocket J as they race to the backstretch. So, opening quarter went in 24, and 2 O'Bannon in front by a half length. Windsor's Tracker now turns up the heat, and on the far outside, Angela's Romeo comes to make it 3 in a line. The favorites are 1, 2, 3 as they race past the 3/8 pole. Then comes Mockins Ridge back in 4th. Another gap of 4 lengths back to Rocket J and Quiet Justice as they head into the far turn. O'Bannon still in front. O'Bannon is there through a 48 and 4 half-mile, and O'Bannon starts to shake free. He's moving away to a 3-length lead. Windsor's Tracker still trying hard in second. Then Angela's Romeo, 1 pace from third. They come to the top of the stretch, and O'Bannon is in front. A furlong from home, O'Bannon has moved away to a 4-length lead. Windsor's Tracker sticks to the rail. Then comes Angela's Romeo. They come inside the final 16th, and O'Bannon is still there. A well-meant debut from O'Bannon. Gate to wire by 4.5 easy lengths over Windsor's Tracker, then Angela's Romeo and Rocket J in 1:29 and 2.
And finally, the C.O. Williams International Junior Tennis Tournament concluded this week at the Tennis Center in Wilde St. Michael. Spectators of the tournament saw Trinidadians Cale Dalla Costa and Aaron Subero defeat Barbados's Aidan Clark and Canada's Thomas O'Neill to win the boys 14 and under doubles title. CBC's Anne-Marie Burke gives us some insight into the exciting action.
Here we go. The curtain closer on the International Junior Tennis Championships was a doubles match between the Trinidadian pair of Cale Dalla Costa and Aaron Subero, and Barbados' Aidan Clark and Canadian Thomas O'Neill. And that was Subero hitting into the net, giving Clark and O'Neill the point. O'Neill now with the serve, Costa picks it up, Clark at the net returns, and Costa again there to save the play. And here comes O'Neill with the direct return to Subero, who again could not keep it in play. O'Neill and Clark starting to pick up the weak point of their opponents, again sending it Subero's way, who was struggling with his returns, and they claimed the first game easily. But in the second, things started to change. O'Neill slipping here, and he too had an unforced error. But the very next serve, Clark stepped up to deliver an ace. Then the Trinis decided to up the ante and pull the game back into their favor. Subero with the ace. Subero with a powerful serve. Clark picks it up. Subero in the backcourt gets it. And then on the return, O'Neill attempts the backhand return but misses. Yes, he knows. Just one of those things. Subero and Costa went into business mode. Costa finding the loophole. But we had a game on our hands as Clark with the serve and O'Neill with a well-executed backhand, and it's into a tiebreak. And the Trinis turned on the heat. Nicely sliced through the middle by Subero, and they claimed the first set 7-6 on the tiebreak. Fast forward into the second set, and again a tiebreak was needed, and here's the game and match point. Costa serves. Clark picks it up. Costa taking charge again. And then Subero steps up to seal it. Second also won at 7-6 on the tiebreak. That's a wrap on the International Junior Tennis Competition. Anne-Marie Burt, CBC Sports.
As always, it was a pleasure bringing you the news and other happenings which made the headlines in Barbados this week. I'm Aliyah Briggs, and we'll be back next week at the same time from another picturesque location with This Week in Barbados.